Let me read to you a passage from the 25th chapter of St. Matthew's Gospel, verses 34 to 40. It's a proposed Gospel reading for the Sunday for Indigenous peoples. For example, in Australia, this is Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Sunday, which generally is celebrated on the first Sunday in July. The readings used are those of, the Sunday, the normal Sunday on which this falls. But the following Gospel reading could perhaps in some countries be used. Matthew chapter 25, verse 34 to 40. St. Matthew writes, Jesus said, "Then the King will say to those on his right, 'Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take for your inheritance the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me.' Then the righteous will answer him, 'Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you?' The King will reply, 'I tell you the truth. Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers of mine, you did for me.'" That's from Matthew chapter 25, verse 34 to 40, a possible Gospel reading for the Sunday on which we think of Indigenous peoples. You know, throughout history, Indigenous peoples have been the object, to a greater or lesser extent, of disregard, disrespect, and even scorn. There have been notable and numerous exceptions to this, both in church and state, but the story of the treatment of Indigenous peoples is a sorry one. All too often they have been regarded as somewhat hopeless and worthless. Fortunately, in our day, there is something of a new respect for things indigenous, but it is still very opportune to consider the basis of their true dignity. The dignity of every man and woman derives from being a creature and child of God, and in particular from being loved by Jesus Christ, the Son of God made man. "Christ loved me," St. Paul wrote, "and gave himself up for me," and this can be said by everyone, including the most forgotten Indigenous person. Jesus Christ calls me to a deep friendship with him. This is our noblest calling, and with the aid of grace all may rise to it. So too may the Indigenous person. Consider but a couple of examples. Kateri Tekakwitha, the name Kateri is derived from the French Catherine, her baptismal name, was born around 1656 in a Mohawk village near present-day Oriesville, New York. She was the daughter of a Mohawk chief and a Catholic Algonquin who had been adopted into the tribe after her capture. Kateri's mother had been baptized by French missionaries east of Montreal, and Mohawk warriors captured her and took her to their homeland. So Kateri was an Indigenous Red Indian. In the spring of 1675, at age 18, Kateri met the Jesuit Father de Lamberville and started studying the Catechism with him. Judging her ready for true conversion, the priest baptized her at the age of 20 on Easter Sunday, 1676. The following year, she escaped to Kahawake, south of Montreal, on the St. Lawrence River, where other native converts were, and there she lived a life of extraordinary penance. Especially notable was her choice of celibacy for love of Jesus Christ. Father Kolonek wrote that Tekakwitha Kateri said, "I have deliberated enough. For a long time my decision on what I will do has been made. I have consecrated myself entirely to Jesus, the Son of Mary. I have chosen him for husband, and he alone will take me for his spouse." In his biography of her, Father Charquetier stressed her charity, industry, purity, and fortitude. Kateri died on April the 17th, 1680, at around the hour 1500, at the age of 23 or 24, in the arms of her friend Marie Therese. Father Charquetier reports her final words were, "Jesus, I love you." After her death, the people noticed a physical change. Father Kolonek later wrote, "This face, so marked and swarthy, suddenly changed about a quarter of an hour after her death, and became in a moment so beautiful and so white that I observed it immediately." Kateri is said to have appeared before 3 individuals in the weeks after her death. She was canonized a saint of the Church by Pope Benedict XVI on October the 21st, 2012. The point here is that goodness and sanctity of life is the greatest human achievement and quality, the result of grace and personal resolution. Saint Kateri Tekakwitha shows the dignity and potential of the indigenous person. Others could be mentioned. Over a century before Kateri, there lived in Mexico Juan Diego, who lived from 1474 to 1548. He is of Our Lady of Guadalupe fame. He was one of the first of the indigenous people there to be baptized at 47, and went on to live a humble and holy life. He was canonized a saint in July 2002 by Pope John Paul II. Other holy indigenous persons could be cited, all indicating the immense potential for goodness attained through union with Jesus Christ in faith and love that is possible for every person, including the indigenous. Therein especially lies their dignity, as it does for each one of us. One of the characteristics of indigenous persons is that usually they lack an abundance of material goods. While no one ought wish that they remain in poverty if that happens to be their condition, let it be remembered that Christ said that special difficulties lie in the path of the wealthy in terms of entering the kingdom of heaven. "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven," our Lord said. Let us resolve to see Jesus Christ in the indigenous peoples of the world. In every one of the lowly there is an immense potential for life in Jesus Christ, as is confirmed by the canonized saints among them.